I think the question all men want to know, it's a very basic one, is what do women want? It's a very heavy one. There's a lot to it, right?
There is a lot to that. That was the greatest mystery to Freud and the fathers of psychology. The true and unsatisfying answer is women want what they want. And the secondary to that is women want what other women want. Often women want what other women want more than they want what's best for themselves. This has to do with the fact that both men and women are playing two different games simultaneously. Both sexes are playing their own intrasexual status games, and they're also playing intersexual power games. And it's very difficult for a man to win both of those games or a woman to win both of those games simultaneously. For instance, a man could potentially simp powerfully for a woman and be at her beck and call and yes dear, sweetheart, and buy her flowers and roses, and that might work in the short term to attract a woman into a relationship. But that man isn't going to be elevated in status within his own intrasexual hierarchy. So other men aren't really going to look at that behavior admiringly, and that's going to be potentially a liability for that person. By the same token, a lot of modern women are in this trap where some of the behavior that might work to get them the kind of relationship they want from the men they want to have that relationship with is frowned upon by their fellow woman. It's basically the equivalent of simping in men. And the equivalent of simping in men for women is anything that has to do with, let's say, traditional reactionary feminine behavior. That I am going to be submissive for a man. That I am going to wait for him. That's how it used to be, where a woman, I mean, what was that in the Odyssey, where Penelope waited for 20 years for Odysseus to come home, and all of the suitors of Greece had taken over her house, and she still refused to believe that Odysseus was dead? I mean, that's a model for feminine loyalty that, I mean, it's a myth, but it's something that you don't see so often anymore. The idea that I'm going to serve a man or make his life easier or do any kind of domestic help, all of these things would be seen as almost a betrayal of her gender at this point. And so even though those behaviors might instrumentally help her get the kind of relationship she wants with the man she wants to have that relationship with, it would come at the cost of, let's say, the respect of the women that she's competing against in her own intersexual status games. So this is kind of how we get into our own ways these days.